Alright, welcome to the second part of the Spongebob only playthrough, meaning in some parts, no Crucible or Bubble Bowl, but right now we're only worrying about playing as Spongebob, because we're not expected to have the Crucible or Bubble Bowl just yet. So as you can see, because we actually already have collected a single spatula here, as seen in the last part, we can actually just teleport right up to Gary to help save himself some time. That's something that we'll be using every now and then, collecting a spatula in a way that's unintended, and then using that as a way to warp up to a later location and level. For now, though, we actually still want to pick up a sock that's out here in the goo, so we're going to use something that you're going to see a lot of called damage boosting, combined with something called a one-frame trick that allows us to bubble bash while maintaining our momentum. So, for whatever reason, there's precisely one frame after you get hit by an enemy in midair, where you can do pretty much anything you can normally do on the ground, such as bubble bashing, which would give you a lot of height, as you can see there, and distance as a result. Or you can also do a jump, as in a single jump that you would normally do on the ground, and then you can do a double jump afterwards. I don't usually do that second variety in this playthrough. I don't think I do it at all, actually, but it's possible. I usually opt for Bubble Bash because it gives me more distance. So with the socks dealt with over here, I believe that's everything you need to worry about right here, and you can move on to the top of the hill again with Gary. We'll also see that there are a few socks we can't get here in Jellyfish Fields. I believe there are only two we can't get from memory serves me right. One which you can actually see from here, the bubble area, where we're expected to use the bubble to knock over some pins, is not, to my knowledge, in any way acquirable. Now you can actually, if you look up in the sky above that area, you can see the sock that's given to you. It's actually just floating up above. I haven't found any way to get up to that sock. There are ways of getting that high vertically in this area, which is actually rather promising, but I've still managed to get to it in any case. So maybe a possible sock to get, but I've never even put much effort into trying to get, because I don't know how I could possibly get over there. That having been said, we can move on and worry about other things, since we are going to have to leave that behind. You'll usually find that I don't pay much mind to things I can't pick up in this playthrough. I'll just kind of blow past them as if they don't exist, but in some cases I will specifically show common efforts to pick them up, just to show that the intuitive approach doesn't work, or to explain why I can't pick up a particular spatula or sock or what have you. This is good in case you were wondering. So the Spongebob area, much like it was in Bikini Bottom, is actually mostly doing things as you're expected to do them, because we still don't have to worry about the game expecting us to have abilities we don't have yet. But we're going to come up very soon on an issue where we're going to have to play as Patrick, except we won't want to do that, so we're going to have to take a very unique approach. We're going to have to apply some of our skills, and things can get kind of interesting. For now, however, we just have some boxes to pick up. Now, there is actually a faster way to pick up this particular sock. What you can do is you can actually climb up onto the statue, I suppose it is. I don't really know what it was. This big rock in the shape of a jellyfish. You can climb up that from the grass platform I was actually just now next to. And then you can use that as a screen spray to get all the way up here. And it would save quite a bit of time. Up there you can see the sock at the top of the screen. A sock that I have no real way of acquiring. And box. I did at one point actually ponder whether or not it was possible to pass this playthrough this game as well, which would also mean skipping the bosses, and again, no Crucible or Bubble Bowl, but you could play as Patrick Insanity. One of the biggest problems is you can't get past this part though. There's 6 golden spatulas you can't gain this up because you can't destroy like a duplicator trying to press that button. So that was an effort that I quickly threw away. You could get about 68 spatulas, I think, I counted. But, in any case. So now we come up to the mission. I mean, it was... oh, what it wasn't. It's escaping at the worst of times, so we're supposed to save Patrick. Oh. Problem being that once we pick up Patrick, so to speak, once we save Patrick, we'll engage in dialogue with Patrick, a golden spatula will appear, but the problem is this is the only time in the game where, in the midst of dialogue, in an in-game cutscene, in-engine cutscene, you actually end up turning into another character. So we need to avoid that. And by avoiding that, we actually end up skipping the spatula, unfortunately. In fact, we never even bother destroying all these duplicatotrons because if we were to do that and take the traditional path, we would end up walking past Patrick and setting off the trigger to automatically talk to him. We don't want to do that. So what we're going to do here is we're actually going to use this Duplicatotron here. And we're going to do damage boost again. We're going to just jump to this island over here. And we're going to ignore Patrick. In fact, you can do that. And you can get close to him on this side, but on the other side. And now I can go through Patrick's area as Spongebob. So it is very unfortunate we can't pick up that spatula, but there's no way to avoid turning into Patrick if you talk to him there. Another thing we can do is we can actually skip the caves by simply jumping out of bounds here. And now we have a lot of walking ahead of us. So now, all we have to do is just walk across the ground throughout the entirety of this. Now the game is a lot less kind to us with regards to being able to go out of bounds to do things at later points in the game. Jellyfish Fields is actually kind of unique in that there's always ground somewhere for the most part. Other areas, generally speaking, there's not flat ground that goes on for pretty much forever. You will usually find that other areas are basically just an enclosed space and a void. Sometimes it's obvious that something's a void because it's over a bottomless pit, like we see in Rock Bottom or Spongebob Stream. In other cases, like Kelp Forest, we'll actually find that the case is there just happens to be nothing but void beyond the immediate boundaries of the area. Here, though, we can actually take some refuge and be able to just run across. Conveniently enough, there is actually no red tape or red lines painted along the ground here, so you can actually walk along without having to worry about cons taking us, despite not having a saving glitch activated. So I open up that box to make life easier so we can come back later. And then I do two glitches, the first of which I'll explain now. For some reason, well, the one consistent way to be able to clip through things, essentially, in this game, is to use a ledge grab. For some reason you can grab ledges, and yes, for some reason the balls are invisible here, the lava things that can actually hurt me. And you can just grab on certain level geometry. I don't know what determines whether or not you can grab onto something, but sometimes you're able to grab onto something and clip through a floor. And that was what you saw just now. Secondly, something you can do is if you jump the very frame that you land on the slide, you can actually keep jumping up that slide. It won't exert any influence on you. It won't actually affect your momentum at all. Now the way I'm doing it here, it makes it look like I'm actually not being affected by that slide at all, but you can actually see I'm still somewhat in sliding mode because my strongest teeth by touching them. And then I start sliding my tongue for a moment when I reach the top. I'm actually going to come back here later, because right now if I progress in that area, I'm actually going to get stuck there, and I'll have to get all the way back over here by running through the out of bounds area again. That'll be annoying. So I'm going to come back here later to pick up a sock that is in the Patrick Cave area. So you can actually do the glitch you just saw me do to go up the slide without doing it perfectly every single frame. If you time it perfectly every single frame, you won't actually start doing the slide animation. But if you mess it up once or twice, you'll actually start doing the slide animation, but you'll still be able to have complete control of yourself. Damage boost for a sock yet again. As you can see, damage boost is quite useful. It's a good thing this game doesn't have lives. So, because you can avoid any issue with having to go up a slide, you'll actually find that on a rare number of occasions, really only two, you can actually progress backwards a level when we're not supposed to be able to. There are 3 slides to go up in this game in total, one of which we actually use another way of getting up, but we'll worry about that when we get to it.
Ahoy there, SpongeBob!
Another area we're actually supposed to play as SpongeBob. Unfortunately, I never really worked out any way to pick up a particular splash in this area. As you can see, there are these fountains in that little area that that Patrick is supposed to go through, where he throws enemies at the fountains to drain the lake. But he never... Unfortunately, we don't have a way of getting SpongeBob over there in terms of getting to the spatula. We can't lower the water, of course, because we can't throw enemies to destroy the fountains. And it seems like the only way to destroy the fountains is to throw enemies at them. Now, the spatula is always there, even if you don't lower the water, but first, there's no real way of getting over there in that general area. The out of bounds portion, but even if we could, we'd have to clip through the goo to be able to actually get down under the goo, and I know of no way of living under goo. So, unfortunately, there doesn't seem much of a way of dealing with that. Off on the left, there is an opportunity to get some socks using the cruise bubble move, but of course you don't have the cruise bubble, so there doesn't seem to be a way of getting that one either. Unlike the opportunity where you were expected to use the bubble ball, I couldn't actually find where the sock is hidden either when it's not actually accessible. It doesn't seem to be up in the sky or anything of that sort. I haven't checked underground, but I mean, I don't know what to do. Because I'd have to run all the way off into the great distance, the great yonder, and then come all the way back under here, and it would just be a pain. Because the ground expands incredibly far into Jellyfish Fields for whatever reason. Something that I forgot to mention a while back, I wanted to talk about this, is the majority of paid clams you see in this game are just gonna skip. Like, the vast majority of them. There are very few that we actually need to pay. This is the second one just now that we skipped the Jellyfish Fields. I can only think of two that you actually have to pay in this game. As long as you don't count the shiny object shiny object fees you have to pay to go to Sand Mountain, because those we do in fact have to pay. Once you get up to the top of the mountain, we will find things are pretty standard as well, because we'll just be finding king jellyfish like normal. But we actually won't have to do anything with regards to, well, really anything once it gets to the bottom, other than going back to Squidward to give him the ointment so he can get a spatula, as well as returning to pick up that sock in the cave. The cave sock was actually one of the socks that I originally hadn't realized you can pick up in my original run of this game 3 years ago, and I only just now found that I can pick it up when I was producing this run again off the top of my head. I'm not quite sure how or why I remembered most of the tricks in this game when I was going through it a second time, doing this run again after 3 years. I just know this game like the back of my hand, apparently. And I can be happy about that. I was never really sure if you were supposed to be able to do a sequence break or not. And it seems that the game is specifically designed so you can do this. I've known about this trick since I was very, very young. But this also skips the tutorial for wall jumps, so I was never sure if it was intentional. But how did the developers not intend for you to do that? In any case. So something I never really realized, actually, because what sane person would come back to Jellyfish Fields and not defeat King Jellyfish until they have the cruise bubble? But if you have the cruise bubble at this point, hi Bubble Buddy, you can actually use the cruise bubble to damage the King Jellyfish while it's up in the air, which speeds up this fight tremendously. Of course, that's not very relevant now. It's an interesting little fun fact. For those of you that are curious, yes, you can in fact jump down off this mountain in this area and... whoops. Well, I guess going under is also an option. And explore the great yonder beyond and below, but there's not really any real reason to do it. There's nothing of interest over there. There's usually no reason to go out of bounds in this game if you can, unless it actually lets you get to a further area. And that's usually in the form of going upwards or forwards, not down. So there's not usually much reason to jump into pits or anything like that. Although there's some exceptions, and you'll see those. I'll be very happy to show them off. And just for fun, I take the final opportunity I have to drown in the King Jellyfish's bathtub. That's empty. I'm never be able to drown again. So I'm not sure why. I just have a habit. I have this compulsion to open every box I see, so I keep doing it. There is actually a small number of boxes in this game, I should point out, where you actually don't need to open both boxes to be able to use them, which is very interesting. There's a small number of boxes where you only have to open the second box, and then you'll be able to use it to tow it back to the first box, so whether or not you've opened the first box. I do end up making use of that at some point, although I don't remember when, to be perfectly honest. That happens at some point in this playthrough. I might not even notice when it happens. But in any case, I'm not even going to bother talking to Larry. I'm just going to pick up this spatula. In fact, I don't think I'm even going to open up the box. So much for my compulsion. Oh, I do. Of course I do. What am I doing up here? Oh, and I do decide to run on back down. That's it. See, the issue is I don't have any way of getting back into the cave without playing as Patrick. See, I got the spatula for going through the cave, yeah. But if I warp to that spatula again, one, it's going to turn into Patrick, and two, it's going to put me at the beginning of the cave. I need to be at the end of the cave. And if I warp to the beginning of this area, it will also, for some reason, turn me into Patrick. I don't know why they do that. Hi, Clam. I didn't pay you. So I decided to just run through this entire area myself. It just isn't too long a trek. Thankfully, there aren't too many cases where this is a problem. I don't usually run into any issues where the game turns me into characters other than Spongebob when I don't want it to, at least when it comes to taxis. There are a few other problems, primarily...
Keep after them robots, SpongeBob! The Krusty Krab and your job depends on it!
Primarily at later points when the game wants us to play as Sandy and we don't want to play as Sandy. But now that we've actually gone up that slide and activate both those boxes, we can go through this area in luxury and just run up to that box and then go slightly backwards in the cave because we can pick up this sock. I used to actually try to go through the entirety of the cave as SpongeBob instead of as Patrick from the very beginning, which is kind of possible for the most part, but then you get to the very end and there's one, a wall you can't get through, and then two, some cliffs you can't escape. I tried to pick up that underground room, unfortunately I can't. So I eventually realized I can just come up here backwards and pick up this sock right here. There's that wall I can't get through, and here are these cliffs I can't get up. So now I've fallen down here, I can't actually get up those. So excuse how quickly I go through the menu. Because I'm playing this game at 50% speed, while I speed it back up, it looks like I'm going through the menu at a blistering pace. But that was my attempt to show which spatulas I can and can't pick up here.
Anything for my best friend Squidward.
What if I just gave you this?
I don't know why the sound effect for that spatula is weird when it appears. I never really understood that. But in any case, so that's everything we can get up here. 12 of 14 socks, most of them, and most of the spatulas as well. So that'll be it for this part, the Jellyfish Shields part of this playthrough. We'll see you guys next time in the next part with Downtown.